All right, well, good to go. Now, the first question we got, these are out of 2.6. I don't mind going over 2.6 because that's what we just got finished doing. So I'll go over 2.6.
I think we might have done those problems.
Oh, we did?
I remember submitting that one. That was last weekend, I think.
Okay, all right. Did we go over this one for Mr. Kelly? Let's see.
I think that one sent accidentally, like, later.
Okay.
Because I don't remember sending that one, but it's good.
No, I don't see any other ones. If anybody has another one, I don't see it. All right. So, and I don't know if y'all can get into chapter 3. Can y'all get in chapter 3 homework? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So let's continue with, and I know there's some stuff in there you probably haven't seen yet, but you're going to. Just give me, I got to get to the 10 levels. Once I get through the 10 levels, I think you're going to see pretty much anything you're going to need to see. So we're going to start with, I'm going to revamp, I'm going to go over maybe, let's go over a level 3, the one I ended class with the other day. And let's go with x squared (13) is equal to 0. Now, the reason I chose 13 is there's no multiple of 13 that will give you 5, because the only multiple of 13 is 1 and 13. So it's not factorable. So use complete with square. X squared plus 5x plus blank is equal to 13 plus blank. I'm going to do this in red because this is important. Since this is 1, we can take that 5, divide it by 2, and square it. And that's 25/4. And that's going to give us shortcut number later, but this is shortcut number 1 because of the positive. So therefore, we're going to rewrite that as x plus 5/2 quantity squared is equal to, let's see, we're going to change that 13 to what, 52/4? Somebody check my math. What's 52 over 4? It should be 13.
It's 13.
Okay. So that we change that to a common denominator. So 52 77 over 4. Check my math, please. So intercept form, which the homework and the test may ask for, is f of x is equal to 5/2, or your horizontal shift is to the left 5/2 and down 77/4.
You were
And
cutting
this-
out some.
I'm sorry, what?
You were cutting out some. I just was going to let you know.
Video and audio?
Just audio.
Okay, well, I'm gonna try something here just a second. It may take out the camera, but I'm gonna unplug it and reboot the Polycom. Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I bet the camera is shut off. Hold on. Yep. Now that is interesting. That is interesting. Wow. And it says video for camera. It's working. Okay, either Teams has done something or IT has done something, and I would put my house mortgage on Teams. So, okay, can y'all see, do I need to reshare? Can y'all see the screen, right? Okay.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. I don't know what's happened. I don't know how we can, and I rebooted it, so. Okay, the skipping should be gone now. Let me know if it's not. X plus 5/2 is equal to, square root of 77 over 2. And I'm gonna bring this across the river. And X is equal to 5, -5, plus or minus square root of 77 over 2, and you can't simplify that because 77 is only 7 and 11, so you can't simplify that. And approximate the square root of 77, well, we'll show you a trick I learned in the war. The square root of, let's see, I'm trying to think of a square root. Well, the square root of 49, the square root of 64, the square root 81. So it's closer to 81. Well, let's see, what's between 64 and 81? 17, half of 17 is 8. So 8 from 81 is like 73. So between 73, I was going to say 6.7. Somebody take the square root, 8.7. Somebody take the square root of 77 for me and tell me what it is. I say 8.7. $77 square root, what is it? Nobody's got it.
8.77.
I'm sorry, what?
8.77.
Okay, well, I was off 700s. 8.7 over 2. X is equal to positive or negative 8.7 minus 5 over 2. So now I'm going to think about money because that's important to me. $8.70 minus $5 is $3.70. Half of $3.70 is like $1.50 plus, I don't know what, 20. So what's $3.70? I can't think out loud. What is that? 70.
Like $1.85.
Thank you. $1.85 or something like that. So 185, that's 1x intercept. And then negative, that'd be negative 12. That'd be 6.85, wouldn't it? Or check my math. What's negative 12.7 divided by 2?
Negative
13.
6.5.
I'm sorry, negative 13.7 divided by 2. Negative 13.7 divided by 2. 6.85 negative. I'll wait for somebody to check me.
Yeah, you're right.
And there's my x-intercept. Now I want everybody to take your y-intercept right here. Take your y-intercept, your vertex and your 2x intercepts and sketch this graph. Go ahead and do that, everybody. You don't have to have graph paper, just. So I'm going to delete. I'm just going to take my handy dandy. I'm just going to delete this right in here, because all my information is on here, so I'm not going to go to the next page. And I'm going to draw a graph. And $13, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Now, since my parabola is opening upward because it's positive, I know that my vertex is below that y-intercept. Vertex is -5/2, which is -2.5. And down 4 will go into 7 one time. And that'll leave 37, and 4 will go into 37 like 9 times, so that's -19 something. We got a y-intercept of -7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And a y-intercept of, move this out of the way, 1.85 or close to 2. And what do y'all notice about the dots? What do? If you've done everything correctly, they all what? Line up. Domain, since this is an x to the second, all real numbers. Range is from -77/4 to infinity. Decreasing, -infinity, which is that arrowhead right here, to line of symmetry, which is -5/2, and then increasing from -5/2 to infinity, and the line of symmetry is x is equal to -5/2. Now that's what we did last week. So we're going to bump it up 1. Now, on the Unit 2 and Unit 1 test, if you can handle what I just did, then you're going to ace both these tests. Okay? And by the time I get through with completing the square, you will have done just about the highest level of completing the square you can do. Okay? So let's move on. Next question. This is a level 5. -x² plus 3x or 4x minus 6 is equal to 0. Now, those of you, I'm going to give you a minute or two. Those of you that can remember, go ahead and try to start it. Give you a minute or two. If you can remember. those of you that don't know, just sit there for a moment. I want to see if people can remember how to do it. I'm going to take a picture of this video working. I just sent it to IT. And of course, you know what they're going to say. Oh yeah, we fixed it. Yeah. Oh my gosh, somebody got a nosebleed. Didn't mean to cause that much excitement with completing the square. Must be the humidity. All right, here we go. Now, we got a problem. Somebody tell me what the problem is. Anybody?
The negative in front of the x squared.
This is a -1. That's not a +1. You can't do completing the square, and I'm going to write that in red. We cannot do completing the square unless A is equal to +1. So I've got to factor out, I can go ahead and move my 6 over. So negative now, before I can complete the square, I've got to do what with that -1? I've got to factor it out. So right here, I'm going to write in blue. Therefore, when A is not equal to 1, factor out common term with -A. In other words, you're going to have to factor out before you even complete the square. You got to factor out that -1. So -1 parentheses x squared minus 4x plus blank is equal to 6 plus, and here's the rule. Whatever you factor out, you have to multiply by right side blank. So whatever you factor out, you got to multiply by that right side blank. Now, if I showed you the traditional way of completing the square, you would see why. But since I'm not showing you the traditional way, I'm not going to go into that. Okay? Question. Does anybody have a question on why I factor out the -1? Everybody good? Now I can complete the square. So I go back over here to my red, and I factor out, not factor out, take 4, divided by 2, square it. And now I have shortcut number 1 on the left. Hey, wait a minute. That blue is A, isn't it? Watch what happens here. -1, I'm going to put that in blue. -1, parentheses, x minus 2 quad set to the second power is equal to 6 plus a -4, 6 minus 4 is 2. I'm going to write that as a f of x is equal to -1 x minus 2 quantity squared minus 2. Where have y'all seen this before? Unit what? Unit 1. You've got an A, which tells you orientation. You've got a horizontal shift, and you've got a what? A vertical shift. So we know, I'll highlight this. What does that negative tell us? That this parabola is opening which way? Not up, but what? Down, Hubert.
Down.
That's right, class. Our vertex is 2, -2. That's our vertex. And now I'm going to solve for x. And x minus 2 is equal to -1. What's our problem here? What's the problem here? That means I want somebody to say something.
It's oh my goodness. There's a negative. It's just
And you
taking
can't take what?
square root.
Can't take the square root of a negative. Now this is where I'm going to show you some stuff that you might see in the homework that you haven't seen. Okay, or in chapter 3, I'm fixing to show you. So we're going to stop right there, and I'm going to go to the next page. So that's where we're going to take off right there. X minus 2 squared is equal to -1. X minus 2 squared is equal to -1. Well, that's Z, but that won't work. X minus 2 squared is equal to -1. You can't have a -1 right there because the exact is going to give you the square root of a negative, which is I, and y'all should know that from algebra. And the approximate means no what? X-intercepts. So you don't even have to do the approximate because you can't. You just know that there's no x-intercepts. So over here, we're gonna take the square root, x minus 2, quantity squared, is equal to -1. We're gonna take the square root, and x minus 2 is equal to I, or I'm gonna go ahead and throw a little bit of review in here for those that don't remember how to do I. Factor out the negatives, so that's square root of -1 and square root of 1. The square root of -1 is I, and square root of 1 is 1. So x is equal to positive or negative I plus 2. So that's your exact answer. And your graph, you only got, what was our y-intercept? I forgot. 6, -6. -6. And our intercept was +2 and what? -2? I think it was. And we know it's open and downward, so no, it does not have x-intercepts. All real numbers is the domain. -infinity to -2 is our range. Increasing from -infinity to 2, decreasing from 2 to +infinity, and the line of symmetry, x is equal to 2. That's a level 5. Factoring out a negative. Any questions? Already caused nosebleed. Y'all ain't got any questions? Okay, y'all just not gonna talk to me. Okay, that's fine. We'll go to another problem.
Can you go back to the last page? Oh.
Yeah. That one?
Yes. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Okay, you can go back to the other page.
Okay. All right, everybody through with that page? Right there? Everybody through? Oh, that's the wrong page, sorry. There we go. So if you have no x-intercepts, all you gotta write is no x-intercepts if they asking for, but most of the time they're gonna ask for this. And you can write it 2, positive or negative I. Most of the time they want it A plus BI. So that means you need to write this 2 plus or minus I. Question, gripe, complaint. All right, now let's do a level 6 or 7. My goal is to discourage you. That's what my goal is. So let's do this one.
I don't get discouraged.
You don't
I'm
get
stubborn.
discouraged, dadgummit.
I'm stubborn as a mule, so.
Oh, well, that means you might be teaching math one day. Negative 2x squared minus 4x minus 6 is equal to 0. Now, what we just learned, I want you to follow that last sheet that we just did, and I want you to do this one because this one has got one extra step in it. Everybody's leaving me today. Nosebleed. Be right back. Well, it must be working. Discouraging y'all. Making y'all change your dreams.
No, that's what chemistry did for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Biology for me. So same page. Close.
Yeah, I got you.
So take the 6 over. Now, a lot of people say, Hubert, why don't you factor out a 2? Well, you could, but remember, we're dealing with complete a square, so we're going to do it a little bit different. Let's move that 6 over first. You always do that first. Move C first. And that's going to give me negative 2x squared minus 4x plus blank is equal to 6 plus blank. Now, instead of factoring out a negative 1, we got to factor out a negative 2. And that's going to give us x squared plus 2x plus blank is equal to 6 plus negative 2 times blank. And I'm going to highlight that again because I'm going to highlight this through all the problems. Whenever you factor out this, you got to put it over here. Now I can complete the square. 2 divided by 2 squared is 1 squared, which is 1. Now you finish it. That includes sketching the graph, domain, range, increasing, decreasing, and line of symmetry. All right. IT just said it was Teams. Teams changes versions. Well, they can't change versions on this computer because IT has to allow updates, so it couldn't have done that. -2 x plus 1 quantity squared is equal to, what's 6 minus 2? 4. So somebody tell me a little bit about this graph before we even sketch it. Well, it opens downward because of the negative, the negative in front of the 2. So it opens downward. The 2 tells us it's narrow. The 1 horizontal shift means -1, and vertical is 4. No, -4, sorry. So it's not going to have any x-intercepts because 1, it looks like this. The vertex is -1, -4, and it's opening down, so it can't have. See, this is the stuff you need to be picking up. This right here is my goal. Before you even draw something, you need to be saying this right here. So now I know there's no x-intercepts. I'm going to get a negative, and you do. Because before you start to do anything, you got to do this. Your vertex is -1 and -4. So you can do that over here. Vertex is -1, -4. Or you can go over here and say f of x is equal to -2 times x plus 1 quantity squared minus 4. That's what the test or the homework will ask you. And then x plus 1 quantity squared is equal to -2. That negative right there tells you no x-intercepts. So I'm going to highlight that negative kind of a red. That tells you right there there's no x-intercepts, and that's true. See, there's no x-intercepts. So take the square root, you're going to get 2i right there. So -1 plus 2i is your exact answer. I ran out of room, so I kind of skipped a couple of steps. Question. Now that's level 5. So those that's the second or third video that I showed y'all to go through and look at. That's about the second or third video. So if you want to see where we're going, make sure you watch the videos that I showed you. I'm going to go ahead and shut her down.
Quick question.
Yes.
Is it plus or minus 2i or just plus 2i?
Plus or minus. Sorry. Thank you. You're right.
I was just
Be smarty about it. No, I'm just kidding. That's right. Thank you. All right. So I'm going to shut her down. And right now, hold off on the homework, or you can play with the homework. When I get through with completing the square, you should be able to knock out like 2/3 of your homework. So just bear with me on that.
Mr. McClure, I was
Yes.
just getting